They cornered the female CEO in the elevator. The janitor's 6 words left everyone speechless. The Hartwell Tower was the kind of building that made people feel small, on purpose. 42 floors of glass and steel rising above downtown Chicago, home to some of the most powerful companies in the Midwest. Every morning, the lobby filled with sharp suits, expensive cologne, and the quiet arrogance of people who believed the world owed them a seat at the table. Marcus Cole didn't wear a sharp suit. He wore a Navy maintenance uniform with a small embroidered patch above his chest pocket. He carried a toolbox that had belonged to his father. And every morning at 6:45 a.m., he arrived before almost everyone else. Not because he had to, but because the building ran better when he did. 3 years ago, after his wife passed away from a sudden illness, Marcus took this job to keep his life stable for his 9-year-old daughter, Lily. No travel, no late nights, just steady, honest work, so he could be home when she stepped off the school bus. Nobody in that building really noticed Marcus Cole. That was about to change. It was a Tuesday in November when everything happened. Diana Hartwell, yes, that Hartwell, stepped into the main elevator at 8:02 a.m. She was the CEO of Hartwell Capital, the firm occupying the top 6 floors of the tower her grandfather had built. 41 years old, composed like polished marble, she wore a charcoal blazer and carried a leather portfolio containing the terms of a 9-figure acquisition deal she was set to close that afternoon. She barely glanced up when 2 men stepped into the elevator behind her. She recognized them immediately: Preston Gale and his associate, Derek Moss. Representatives from Vantage Group, the rival firm that had been pressuring her into a forced merger for months. They had sent letters, made calls, used lobbyists. Diana had ignored all of it. Apparently, they were done being ignored. The elevator doors slid shut. "Diana," Preston said smoothly, almost friendly. "We need to talk." "My assistant handles scheduling," she replied without looking up. "You know we're past scheduling," Derek added, stepping slightly to her side. Something in that movement made her stomach tighten. "The board is tired of waiting," he said. "This deal happens one way or another." Diana looked up. Both men were standing closer than they should have been. The elevator had a known camera blind spot. Everyone in the building knew it. She had always meant to fix it. "Are you threatening me?" she asked, her voice steady, even as her pulse quickened. Preston smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "We're motivating you." Marcus was on the 2nd floor fixing a stuck HVAC panel when his radio crackled. A cleaning crew member mentioned the main elevator was running slow, probably the sensor again. He grabbed his toolbox and headed over. He arrived just as the doors were about to close. He caught them with one hand, like he always did, and stepped inside. 3 people. The CEO, he recognized her from the portrait in the lobby, and 2 men standing far too close to her. The tension inside that small metal box was immediate, heavy, like something had already gone wrong. Marcus looked at the woman's face. He had seen that expression before. His daughter had worn it once, in a school hallway when older kids had cornered her. That quiet, controlled stillness when someone is calculating their options and finding none. He set his toolbox down, pressed the button for the next floor, then turned, crossed his arms, and looked directly at the 2 men. Not aggressive, not loud, just present, calm, unmovable. The kind of presence that comes from someone who has already faced life's worst and has nothing left to prove. Then he said 6 words. "I'm going to stand right here." That was it. No threats, no raised voice, just a quiet, absolute line drawn in the sand. Something shifted. Preston and Derek exchanged a glance. They were used to power, money, influence, pressure. They were not used to this. This man had nothing they could take from him. No reputation to ruin. No deal to block. Just a man standing his ground. Derek scoffed. "Mind your business, pal." Marcus didn't blink. "I am." The doors opened. Marcus didn't move. Seconds stretched. Preston adjusted his tie, then stepped out. Derek followed. Without another word, the doors closed. Silence. Diana stood still for a moment, then exhaled. A breath she didn't realize she had been holding. She looked at Marcus. He had already picked up his toolbox, calm, like nothing had happened. "Thank you," she said. He nodded once. "You okay?" "I am now." She glanced at his name patch. "Marcus, right?" "Yes, ma'am." "I know," she said with a faint smile. "Your portrait's in the lobby." She laughed softly. The elevator reached her floor. She stepped out, then turned back. "Thank you, Marcus." "Really?" He gave a small nod as the doors closed. She thought about it all day. Through meetings, calls, the deal closing. 6 words kept echoing in her mind. "I'm going to stand right here. No agenda, no reward, just doing the right thing." 2 weeks later, Marcus was called to the executive suite. Diana stood in her office, Chicago's skyline behind her. "I looked into you," she said. "Single father. Daughter, Lily. 9 years old. On a roll. Loves soccer." She paused. "I also looked into why someone with your skills is working maintenance. It fits my schedule," he said simply. "My daughter needs me." "I know." She leaned forward slightly. "What if I told you there's a management position, flexible hours, full benefits, triple salary created this morning?" Marcus was quiet. "I'd ask why." "Because the man who stood up when it mattered deserves better," she said. "And because I trust your judgment." He thought about Lily, the school bus, his life. "Same hours?" he asked. "Written into the offer." He nodded. Then yes. Months later, the merger collapsed. The truth came out. And Marcus still arrived at 6:45 every morning. Still carried his father's toolbox. Some habits don't need fixing. Lily made the city soccer finals that spring. Her dad was in the front row. He always was. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do